Folks, shaved, continuity issues going on here. Going in to see the missus. Right, welcome to this latest video. It's been a glorious couple of days down in Devon. Got shitloads of work done, and it's really starting to come together now. Right, today it's happening. I'm not going to put it off any longer. The passenger door is going into the car. So before I put it into the car, I need to fit the lock mechanism and the various bars and bits and bobs. All of the catches are already in there, and I need to fit the hinges to this end, and then I'm going to need the help of a 75-year-old father to come and give me a hand in hanging it onto the car, because ultimately it's going to go in that hole over there. And as you can see, I might just clear my way first of all. I've been clearing out the locker because I need to have a major clear up in here. Can't fucking get in without touching shit. Now those are going to go on the car, so I'm going to get those rimmed up. There's the rims for them, and so that lot will be out of the way. Then I'm going to get rid of these two. So there's the front passenger wing to go straight onto the car, and that's the driver's door, which I can start fitting out. The wings, so this is the least favourable of the wings. This is the original wing that came off the car, and while it looks nice and shiny, I'm not that happy with it. I think Steve has done his absolute best with the damn thing, but it's covered in tiny little dents and stuff that are kind of associated with off-roading. I mean, I now know from the state of the roof the off-roading activities has taken place, which is not surprising really. The cars are very capable off-road. But what I said to Steve was I'd hang it on the car, and we'd take an assessment as to whether it was going to be good enough or not. The other wing, the one I bought that was the second-hand wing that was mistakenly shipped by Famous Fall, has come up beautifully, so I'm well chuffed with that. So like I say, stop getting distracted, Richard. Let's get on with this fucking door. Done it. Fitted the door. The door's on. I haven't got my, irritatingly, I haven't got any of my 3/16 Allen keys here, so I've had to order one because no one seems to do that. And once I've got that, then I can adjust up the gaps, because the door needs to come in somewhat at the bottom by about that much. You can see I'll move it around, so it will definitely go there. Probably needs to come out just a smidge at the top, just a smidge. Really pleased with the way this wing turned out. Thank you, Famous Fall. It did need a wedge of bodywork doing to Steve the body. Didn't curse him as much as he did with the other one, but yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. It is getting there. Yay! This is the tailgate that came off the car when I first got it, and the place where they normally rot, surprisingly sound. It looks like it's been tickled with a welder down here. Looks like Alan has made up some repair sections to the bottom of the frame, and the catches look savable. They certainly work. The top of the frame though, absolutely shot. And I'm guessing this is largely just because the car stood standing for so damn long. So I'm going to strip this down. So it starts off with taking off the catches and the lock mechanism. This is a later one because it takes the later catches. It's got the early balls. Oh, it's got one ball and one pin. Right, so we'll have to adjust that one over there to be a pin, because its pins is what I've got. Pin and pin. So handles off. Looks to be a relatively new unit, because normally these alloy plates in the back corrode with a fury. But yeah, that seems okay. I got the lock mechanism out. The screws just undid. I got one of the catches off. The other one, which has got the wrong ball on it, is riveted on. I'm not going to do that until the glass is out. So I cut through both bottom corners. This is definitely a homemade top tailgate. Quite impressed actually. Pretty not a bad effort, but copious amounts of bloody sealer. So now, having cut through the bottom end, and it was a solid bar, I had to go for the angle grinder in the end, but I made sure I was cutting downwards and protecting the glass. You can see now that on this end the frame is free and it's catching somewhere halfway along, so I'm going to have to go along it with the knife, with a blade, and see if I can cut the silicone away, then I can pull the side pieces out very, very slightly, and then I should be able to, at that point, slip the glass out. Basically, I was scraping off the gloop on the edge here, and then I started to feel a little bit of resistance, but then I looked up into where the sunlight is shining. My glass is rusting. I'm doing nothing with that. I'm going to find another tailgate glass. I've got another one in the shed, I'm pretty sure of it. Actually, I know where there is one. I'm going to go and get it. Hopefully it hasn't got splatter all over it. There's one at the back there, behind the windscreen, that's covered in splatter. This glass has a different set of challenges. Quite a lot of bird shit. The frame is obviously completely rotted out. I wonder what sort of glass it is. It's still got one of the tags at the top there for the heated screen, which is good news. They're a bit of a swine to solder back on again. And it's got both of them. Oh, look at that. That's nice. I'll show you on the other side in a minute. But it's not marked with a particular manufacturer. I'll have to give it a good clean and see if I can find out. So, I think first things first, let's get this corner off here. It's remains of something that's got a very early catch on it, but the early catches, they were integral with the rods and the locks, so you can't do anything with them. So there's probably not an awful lot I can really be able to do with that, but a wedge of this is for the scrap pile. So that's how you pull a Range Rover top tailgate apart. Well, okay, you might want to be a little bit more careful than I am, but yeah, it's done. Right list of jobs to do today, right list. So I'm prepping back this B-post on the driver's side, the side that pickled. It pickled from about here downwards, also pickled along this inside edge. Now, my body shop man said it's pickling because the base coat and its thinners is reactivating the primer and then reacting with it. Now, so it's just to prove this point, over here, this is where it pickled, this is all still soft. So what's happened is the primer has reactivated, gone soft, and then been locked in by the base coat over the top of it. Look at this. Front wing's on. The bottom edge of the front wing is slightly proud at the moment because there's a bracket that needs to go behind it and it's not fixed onto the A-post yet. But when I hold it into the rough sort of position, you can see the lines are pretty good for a Land Rover. Lined it up with the back wing. Door opens, closes. It's got new seals on it, so I had to give it a bit of a shove. I'm hoping that when the door top and all of the weight is in it, it's got enough momentum that it can close itself without having to slam it. But then it's an old Land Rover. Looking good, huh? Pleased with that. Top tailgate, it's gone on. So this is a new aluminium frame. I've not quite finished it yet. I've still got the handle and so forth to put on the catches, but I wanted to hang it on the car just to check fit. One of the biggest concerns I've got is the profile of the top screen rubber, which is not allowing me to push the screen anywhere near the catches. If I look at the original style of the rubber, and I can dig the old one out, it's quite flat in profile. See, that's quite flat, and the rest of it is not. It's quite proud. So I've got a feeling I'm going to go over this with a steam gun Let's see if I can get that to relax somewhat. On this side, okay, so I've been doing quite a lot of work here on this side, really just sorting out the issues that I had with the reaction with the primer going all funny. So it's gone, I've put a filler primer over the top, which I'm going to need to flat back. And see, there's a bloody run there. That's a run that I've not managed to sand out from the underneath coat. So I need to sort that out. On the fucking stop saying Richard. On the A post, it's a lot better now. I've got that really where I want it to go, and I have kind of masked up the whole front end there. So I've taken the filler strip out of the side of the windscreen and wrapped some tape around it so I can actually paint. The black line there you can see is where the fucking hell. Okay, let's have a tax on the word moving forwards, yeah? So the black line is where the screen seal goes to on the A post normally. Oh, there, I turned an into an O. What else? Finally managed to get the base coat on without it pickling. Took a fair few attempts. I know. I'm not going near it at the moment because it's been, well, the air's moist now, and the final coat went on about 3 hours ago. So I'm just leaving it, and then tomorrow I will flat it and put the clear coat on. I might have to just put a waft of very, very, very thin base just to allow it something for the clear coat to stick to. Oh yeah, I put the restored original bin plate back onto the slam panel, so that's a momentous occasion. It's gone back on. I'm pretty pleased with the way that's come out. I wanted to put something original back on it. It's quite a lot of original stuff gone back on it, but not much metal work. Right, the roof's on. There's a lot of screws, 52 screws around this roof, right the way around it. That's the windscreen end, down the other side, and basically I've had to lie on my back inside the car to do most of these screws up. A wedge of them are in really inaccessible places like these, and also above the doors. They're a pain in the backside to get into, but they're all there, and the roof is on. Yay! Oh my goodness. It's starting to look like a car again. Oh yes. Get those windows in there, get the back lights, back bumper, lower tailgate, front wings. It's starting to look like a car. There's a few ripples and issues with this roof that I'm seeing. I know it's got a big dent on this side, which you had to work quite hard with the filler on. To my mind, there's a fair few fish eyes and things in there. You can't, there's one there, you can see it glinting. So I'm not particularly impressed. Also, on the gutter edging, I noticed as I was putting all this together, there is a bloody great lump of aluminium corrosion. Where is it? You can't really see it with this. It's too close. Basically it's there. Bloody great lump of aluminium corrosion. And you can just about see it there. He hasn't really taken it back. This side's far, far worse than the driver's side. It might respond to a mop, I don't know. The driver's side of the roof, it's got a couple of dings and dents on it, but it's a very large Burma Bright panel. God's sake, look at that. Yes. He hasn't invoiced me for this yet. That's just like crap that's landed on the paintwork. But it is shiny. It's shinier than my paintwork. That's my paintwork. It needs flattening back. I've done a clear coat on the top, but it needs flattening back. I'll give this a good mop in and see if I can get the edges, because you can't really see the middle. It's this edge. It's the edge that's closest to the side of the car that you can see. But at least it's on the car now. It's a step forwards. I can start getting both doors put on and make the car watertight ready, which is the objective. Then I can put the interior back in, which should be ready now. This door up has been a proper ball's ache, but I got there in the end. So he opens and he closes. Right, okay, so I've got to sort all the rattle shims out. Effectively what you've got, hinge, and the hinge onto the door. There's a big spacer underneath there to give it enough space for the grommet on the A-post to clear. Then you have shims that sit behind the hinges at the bottom, or the top. One of the project cards has got about 19 of the damn things in there. Then once you've got all that sorted out, you've got to sort the striker out. Then once you've done all that, you can adjust up the frame. So that has taken me a while. Now, one of the tricks that I found was quite useful. Oops, I didn't shut. Let's shut that in. Seals are a bit manky. They're new and they need to settle down a little bit. So one of the tricks I found, spirit level. So I'm not on an entirely level ground, but what I did, I measured on the rear wing top as a level. I had to tape some washers on the bottom just so it gave me a level wherever I was on this wing, and then match that to where I was with the door. And you can see that they are absolutely level with each other. So what that helped me with, if this edge was too low, and it's still too low, it still needs to go up a little bit, but I'm pretty close to it now. I'm going to see if there's any adjustment in the wing to take the wing down a couple of millimetres. Then obviously you just need to jack the whole door up. I just use wood underneath the bottom edge. Before you tighten all the bolts up, ensure that the spirit level is still level and still matches the back wing, and then tighten everything up. Not a particularly easy job to do, but I got there in the end understanding how all these different shims and mechanisms work. It doesn't help that you can't access many of the bolts. So these bolts that hold the hinge to the frame have very, very limited adjustment. The only thing I've really done with this is put a couple of shims on the bottom hinge to pivot the back of the door upwards very, very slightly. It might need a third shim, we'll see. The big shim on the inside of the door really is to allow it to clear the A-post. The door is sitting very slightly proud, but it's consistent, and that's largely because of the door seal. So I'm going to see if I can steam the door seal down a little bit. But yeah, that's taken me the best part of a day. So this, I've supported the door on a jack. I've undone the hinge. Check this out. I think the expression Arthur is springing to mind here. So I'm going to change that bottom hinge out. I'm not sure if it was a new one or one that I'd already had on the car, but that could well explain why the bloody thing keeps going out of alignment. Not helpful, is it? Right, so that's going to come off and I'll do a bit of further investigation. So I need to get at these 3/16 sockets on here now. I was going to shim this out with an extra shim, but I think I shan't bother. I should go back with the 2 shims with a new hinge, and let's see what happens once I've done that. I've also fitted the window regulator. So the window regulator goes up. This caused a significant amount of swearage yesterday because I couldn't see how to get the window regulator in past the window channel. And the book suggests, in order to remove the window regulator, first remove the glass and the window channel. And I was thinking, oh, for heaven's sake. Anyway, as it turned out, I was able to undo these 2 bolts at the bottom, push the window frame as close to the skin as I possibly could, and then the window regulator actually went in this hole here. And I was able to manipulate it fairly easily into position. So God knows why the book says you need to remove the glass and and everything else. I didn't need to do that. Right, so this hinge needs to come right off the car now. I'm going to swear at it, and I need to cut that little tie wrap there. It's a good job I haven't put the roll pins in yet on the check straps. I just use little tie wraps here for the time being, because otherwise knocking those roll pins out every single time I need to do an adjustment or change a hinge is a pain in the backside, especially when I need to change this bastard hinge. Right, it's going to come off. I'll let you know how it goes. I've been thinking about this all wrong. So I have been thinking about this all wrong. My brain just doesn't work sometimes. Okay, so this isn't working. So I put the spacer at the top there to push the door away. If I was to put the spacer at the bottom of the door and put hinge spacers at the top of the door, I'm wondering if it would be different. I mean, I've got it to fit now, so it lines up, but the top of the door is touching the A-post again, and there's a gap here. Now, I might be able to adjust the frame, so the next thing I'll do is adjust the frame to see if I can bring the frame rearwards on the car. So basically where I am now, I've got 3 shims on the inside, 1 fat shim on the outside, and nothing in the middle. It could well be that a shim behind the hinge at the top would do the job, but before I do that, I'm gonna see if I can sort the window frame out. Now basically where we are with this thing is the catch is adjusted as far close to the edge of the door as it can be, and the striker is similarly, and it does shut, and it's shutting onto the second click. So you can see the striker in there, and there's the first click, okay? So it's important that you use the safety part of the door latch. The door latch works in a 2-stage approach. So there's the first approach, and there's the second approach. It locks the catch in, okay? So we've got the door so it closes again, and it's lined up, and just double check alignment. Well, if anything, it could do with coming up a little bit at the hinge edge. So I might see if I can adjust the door up at the hinge edge, although it's fairly straight along the top. Again, door frame, I think, possibly. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. Maybe I'm just trying to make it too much like a Jaguar. But, oops. The trouble is, these seals are so, the seals are so fat. I'm going to have to find a way of steaming the seals down. You can see here, the window frame is opening out as it goes towards the top. So I need to pull the window frame backwards, that way, top of the frame. So let me see if I can do that first of all. Otherwise, it's going to be seeing if I can raise the hinge edge of the door another couple of millimetres or so. So let me fiddle around with that first of all. Right, door, window first of all. So to adjust the window frame, you've only got 2 bolts here, which I'm probably going to leave alone because I can pivot off these 2. That one there, which clamps the top half of this. That one down there, which clamps the bottom. That one down there, which clamps the bottom of this one, and 1 screw on the end, which again is a pivot point. So I shall loosen the pivot points, remove the other points, and see if I can get it to shift around. Ah, it's fun this, isn't it? Door's about as near as damn it as it's going to get. Now, I had to take the other thing, the other point of adjustment on these, by the way, you can remove washers from the shim here, because in the middle of the striker there's a roller that makes the door easy to close. Swap the bottom hinge out, put the spacer on the bottom, and put spacers at the top behind the A post, and it shuts now, and it shuts fairly easily. Lines up around the screen frame, a little bit wide at the B post at the top, maybe 2 or 3 mil. You can see my finger goes up there as I get towards the top. So I'm looking at that at the moment. If I can bring the frame back a tiny bit, that would be ideal. One observation here, when I've welded this hole in here, the hole doesn't go down low enough. So I'm going to have to work out how I'm going to Dremel that down, just so I can get in there with the screwdriver. I should be able to do it. It's not going to be a huge issue to get a screw back in there. And then it shuts. Right, I'm going to go have a coffee now. Then, after that, because the bloody wing gaps are now all ballsed up, I'm going to adjust the back wing now. So the back wing needs to go that way. Only by a couple of mil, and then it can pivot very, very slightly to line it all up. I can't think of any other way, because the door is now level with the top of the wing. And I know there's a certain curve as the cars go back, but I'm happy enough with the door as it stands right now. I'm not going to tip the door back any further. It's pretty much bang on. Let's see how the regulator works, by the way, after all this. Well, the window goes down. Does the window go up? Oh, that's nice and easy. Oh, yes. Right. Oh, I got stuck there. Why did it get stuck there? Oh, it's me. There we go. That works. Shuts. Coffee. Got this side all lined up now. Still need to put a closing panel under there. But the door lines up. Front wing lines up. Much tighter gap. Top of the front wing is good. Headlamp panel all lines up. So we've done it on this side. frames in. It still sticks out a tiny bit at the top, but I think that's going to settle as the seals start to... Oh, the only job I need to do around here is I need to drill that hole a tiny bit bigger so I can get the screw back in it. Right, now I need to do a job on that now. And then I'm going to crack on with this side afterwards to get the back wing on it. I might leave the back wing off for a short while because it's just bloody close to the side of the barn. I can start fitting the door out, I suppose, but I haven't got the seal yet. Right, let me go and do my car first and then we'll work it out.